Welcome to You're Not Alone, the podcast that brings you real stories of strength, hope, and resilience. Life is full of challenges, and if you are navigating a personal struggle, facing difficult challenges, or simply looking for an inspiration, this space is for you. My name is Victoria Vita. I'm a mindset mentor, Reiki master, and a sound healer. I'm also the CEO and founder of Self Awesomeness and the host of this podcast. This podcast is here to give you hope, inspiration, and the reminder that you have community behind you. Our guests are real people just like you who have faced losses, anxieties, and life obstacles, but emerged stronger. Their stories are raw, honest, and full of hope, reminding you that no matter how tough things get, you are not alone. And today's guest, I would like to welcome Hannah Palumbo, a courageous mom who chose to rebuild her life from the ground up after divorce. For years, she questioned whether she made the right decision, but deep down, she knew her kids didn't just need two parents under one roof, they needed happy parents. With no family nearby, she faced the challenges of starting over, physically alone, emotionally raw. But layer by layer, she created her own village, found her voice, and began sharing her journey with honesty and heart. Now, as a mother of two boys, she celebrates her independence and the power of vulnerability to build connection and community. Welcome, Hannah. I'm very excited to have you on today's podcast because my story resonated with your story. And the way I found you was on Instagram. I saw your one of your reels and it was like, wow, just mind blowing. Thank you for being on today's podcast.
Thank you
How are
so
you?
much for having me. And what an introduction. It's like sometimes crazy listening to someone else say your story, but you hit it on the head. So I'm excited to dive in deeper.
Sure. Can you please take us back to the moment when you realized your marriage wasn't working? What thoughts you
So,
had in mind? What was going through your mind?
yeah, I think that life has a crazy way of navigating us places that we need to be and places that we don't need to be. Um, I found myself at a place as a young mom, married, navigating life with someone who, like, we had our challenges of our own. I got to the point where I was realizing that maybe this was not my person. We were kind of just like pushing a boulder up a hill, if you will. We had two
Mm-hmm.
small children, so there's obviously like the challenges that come with that, but we weren't doing it as a team anymore. It was like we were kind of against each other. We love our kids with
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like we did have love for each other, but the partnership wasn't growing with life. So I started to question like this, is this the right like place for me? If I'm feeling my happiness being drained, is this something that's going to like benefit myself and my children going forward? And so I started to like have these questions like this. And I came to the point where I could not say yes confidently. So I knew that something had to change.
How that decision ended up working for you. So when you realized that, oh, shit, no, no, like you have to have enough strength to say no to your life that you already built so far.
Absolutely. And that strength does not come overnight either. And the decision isn't made overnight. And you have to really, really weigh the pros and cons. And like you said, I I live in New York. My whole family lives in California. So I don't have that family support local. I have it, I feel it, they pour into me, but them physically being far away from me, I didn't have them to lean on in like leaving the marital home. So that was really hard. But what helped with that
Mm-hmm.
was having that support and then just kind of reminding me of my strengths. Sometimes you need someone else to remind you of certain things about
Yes.
you, especially like the good things. It's easy to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, like this is so hard. Like, I don't know how I'm ever going to do this. But having someone else sometimes to lean on that is like, well, if this is something that your gut is telling you you need to do, then like you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that, on that with you because I don't have my family around here either.
Yeah.
So they're like all overseas. And I know what it feels like being alone. Like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Before you had a husband who you can somehow rely on, and now you don't have husband, so you have to rely on yourself, and it can be challenging. But I think that strength built us as well and helped us to overcome a lot of life situations that we are grateful for right now.
Yeah, and I know that
You
our
all.
situations ended differently, but when you like speaking of like being alone, like your like immediate family like far away from you, when you're in a marriage too and you're still feeling like you're alone, like that
Mhm.
was kind of one of my breaking points too. Like I felt like I didn't have that partnership that I felt that I could rely on. I like felt alone and isolated, like in my own home. So that was something that I was like, this can't be normal. And if this is normal for someone else, like I don't feel comfortable with this
Mm.
being my normal forever.
Yeah, that's so powerful, as you said, like being alone in your own home, not
Mhm.
physically being alone, but feeling alone with people who are there physically with you. It's a very powerful feeling. Like, I think you can test yourself if you're happy with the person who is next to you or not.
Yeah,
Depends
it's
how
not
you're
all
feeling.
like the
Yeah.
words at the end of the day. Sometimes it just is that internal feeling. And like if it feels icky
Yes.
or if it feels off, it probably is.
And especially as women, as our intuition, it always tells us the truth. Like we can, with our mind, I think we can come up with different stories and explanations and reasons, but our intuition, our gut feeling, it knows. Like we just
It
have to
knows.
learn to
Yeah.
listen to our intuition. Yes. You also said that you struggle with the question that if you made the right decision to divorce, how long did that doubt stay with you?
I would be lying if I said that it ever like fully goes away, but it subsides substantially. So before getting divorced, you're questioning that. Like, is this the right decision? Obviously, you're having those like conversations with yourself, with other people perhaps, and like I said, weighing the pros and cons. Afterwards, like the decision is final. Like you did it, you like are moving on to that next chapter of your life, but you also are like in that process you're mourning this life that you thought was going to be yours too. So then with that
Hmm.
comes questions, of course, because I didn't go into a marriage thinking that I was going to be divorced, a single mom of two kids, like living in another like state from my family, like across the country.
Yes.
It's like no one signs themselves up for that. So
Yes, yes.
so right, yeah. So like entering that next chapter, you're like, okay, like this is it, we're doing this, but then it's like, oh my gosh, like, are we really doing this? Is this like really what is this really the best thing for me? Is this really the best thing for my children? That feeling is really, really heavy in the beginning. I think like anything, like with time, it starts to subside because then you are just doing. You're doing like your daily dues. You know what you have to get done. You know what your kids need. You know what you need. So you get this like sense of confidence in doing it
Mhm.
on your own. So like for me, I'm 4 years out of a divorce now, and I feel so good about the life that we've created. I know in my gut 100% that it was the right decision. Um, but just because my gut says that, there will still be like certain times, like I feel like maybe once every few months, it just pops into my head,
Mhm.
like this example would be easier, like if I stayed in a marriage, just certain things like
Yes.
that. But then I snap
Yes.
myself back because like I said, our guts know, and I know that I have happy children. I have peace, like in my home, in my
Yes.
heart, and then like that outweighs everything.
Mhm. And I feel like our kids, they could feel our calmness, and they feel that we are happy. They could feel our
Yeah,
happiness, and we kind of mirrors for them. So, and they feel it too. So they feel happier instead of just being surrounded or live with parents who always argue, and they feel the tension.
yeah,
Like I didn't argue with my husband, for example, in front of my son, but he always felt tension. We argued once, and he still remembers. And he was three and a
yeah.
half, probably.
You
And
can read people's
uh,
body language, even if it's a different dynamic,
yes,
like even if it's a peer of yours, and like like we are the ones responsible for like setting this tone and this example for our children.
y-
So whether
yes,
we're straight up arguing with another human in front of them or not, like they can see our energy. They could
Th-
probably see my shoulders like a little tighter
They
and like
sense it.
yeah,
Yes.
like, and now I feel like how I move throughout the day, are there stressors of life? Yes, but those are like real life stressors that I'm gonna have, they're gonna have, everyone has, like, people have better days than others. But how
Yes.
I think I move through life now is, for an example for them, is like a carefree mom. Like we get to have fun,
Hmm.
we get to be silly, we get to do things that we
Yes.
want to do. And like you
Yeah.
said, like I really feel like they sense that.
Yeah, and you don't feel like you have to survive, like
Yes.
emotionally in a household, like fighting to be and pretend to be happy family. So, and I think it takes a lot of energy when we try to be a happy family. And I know that
Yeah.
many parents stay with their partners because of the kids.
Hmm.
I'm just doing this because to me, I looked at it as a bubble that of thinking that if we stay together, our kids will be happy. But
Hmm.
what you said, that actually happy parents make kids happy, and that those happy parents can live in separate households. So what helped you to realize that the happy parents are more important than staying under the same roof with your
I think
husband?
that this like question is one of the most important, and I feel like this is something that I've talked to the most women about personally. I've talked to women like in different stages of this process, whether it ends this way or
Hmm.
it doesn't. But one of the biggest things that I felt, and one of the biggest things that I've received from others, is that question. Like, I can, and this is how, like, the feeling that I had, I was like, I can't get divorced because I can't imagine not seeing my kids every single day. Like, that was
Yeah.
one of my biggest, like, the on my cons list. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So feeling that way, like that's scary. We love our children so much. I literally could not imagine one day going by without seeing them. And then I had to flip that into saying, like, when I see my children, I'm going to be like the most intentional, the most present, the most, like you said, they're going to have parents in now in two separate homes. We co-parent well, we have the best intentions for our children, but we are
That's amazing.
happier in our two separate homes. And they know that when they are with mommy, they are so, so loved. When they're with daddy, they're so, so loved. And I hope that years down the road when they see that, they like are like, you know what, our parents had to do what they had to do, but like there was never any lapse of love and care. But yeah, I think it's like if anyone else is at that point of being like, I can't not see my kids every day, you can. And once you get to this point too, you might, if you have like a co-parenting relationship, you know, maybe you'll, when they're with their father, like you'll get back into pouring into your cup and do things that you enjoy to do.
Yes.
And then you'll look forward to that time a little bit too, because that like strengthens you and grows you as a person, like back to your whole full self too.
Yeah, that's what I used to like when my son used to be with his dad, like that was my me time. So, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what am I going to do? And sometimes when we are in the same household, we don't have time to do things that we want or actually explore what we like, right? And
Yeah.
using that time to fulfill your kind of fill your cup with joy, that you can share the joy with your kids when they are with you. And I think with kind of that's what I did as well when I didn't see my son every day. And it was actually very powerful for, I guess, for both of us, for his dad and for myself. And we were very intentional when he was with us. Like when he was with me, we would spend
Right.
time together, we would have fun and
Mm-hmm.
do things together. And when he was with him, his dad did exactly the same. Yeah. He
Yeah. And I
still
think
asks
it's
sometimes
important.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I love when they have questions too. So I mean, like boys, sometimes I feel like I have to like pry them out a little bit. I'm like, are you sure you don't have any questions? Like you could talk to me. But I think that yeah, like if they feel loved and supported, there's not that many questions that they have. We try not like the only thing that really changed was the location of their parents. You know, every their life stayed the
Yeah.
same apart from that.
Yeah, my son sometimes he still asks the same question. It's been over 7 years for us. He asks, why did you guys divorce? Why did you divorce? So, and what he was doing, he was trying to find more people or more kids whose parents got divorced, so he couldn't feel isolated because like his
Yeah.
best friends, they had parents living together. But then he came like, oh mom, you know that these parents, they he has a stepdad or she has stepmom, and they got divorced too. I was like, yeah, I mean, life happens. And these type of questions he asks me. So I was like, okay, I have to find the right
That's so
answer. But
interesting that you're saying that right now because my oldest, he's 11. He just asked me yesterday about step siblings because a kid that he knows has step siblings. He was like, okay, so like this one's like his step brother, and like was like kind of trying to like navigate that. I'm like, yeah, like, and then my youngest, when we got divorced, he was 3 years old, and
mhm,
a couple years later, this might have been like last summer, but we were like riding bikes somewhere. I pointed something out and like something about like his dad, and he was like, "You and daddy were married?" Like, so then I'm like, wow, like that came as a shock to me. I'm like, your little 3-year-old brain like didn't like
mhm,
doesn't really like remember that. And I'm like, is that just because you were so young? Or what is that because like I said, like that, like loneliness feeling. I did a lot of things, like even when I was married, alone with my kids. So I'm like, are those his memories? Like it's always been like just the three of
mhm.
us
Oh,
in a way.
interesting.
So yeah, the questions that come up, or like when they express something like that, I was like, wow, like I did not think that you did not know that we were married. So that was
Yeah,
crazy to
yeah.
me.
Yeah, and we don't know how they process that information. But what I'm telling women too, that you have to be open with your kids, like no hiding.
Yeah.
I've never said anything bad about his dad. So because I feel as we as parents, we didn't withdrew ourselves from parenting. Yeah, we
Mhm.
ended our relationship as a man and a woman, but we are still parents to this child, and it's
Yeah.
the for the best of their interests, we have to stay together. We have to do, I don't know, sometimes things together, right? So
Yeah.
just for our kids, because they can sense it and we can show them that this type of relationship, this type of family works as well.
I agree. And
Mm.
that's easier said than done sometimes doing those
Oh, I
things
know. Oh, yeah,
together.
I know.
But I we prioritize that too. And
Yeah.
who knows, like that's the season we're in right now. Like, I can't tell you what it's going to be like 5 years from now, but
Yes.
we definitely like prioritize like doing birthdays together and
Yeah.
like just having that, like at the end of the day, like you are a family unit because you created a family together. Just because like mom and dad
Yeah.
aren't together anymore, like I'll always like
Yeah.
consider this my family unit. um
hmm
but yeah, but it's so important that you said too, like not to bash the other parent. And I know that that is hard sometimes.
It's
Believe
very,
me,
I mean,
sometimes
it's
I'm
very
like,
hard.
I'm
Oh
like
my
I just want
goodness.
to say something right now. Get like one in.
Oh yeah, he was bringing. So his dad passed away now. So, but he used to bring like a lot of things that I was like, oh my gosh. So, and I would explain him from different perspective, or this is
Mhm.
how he can, I don't know, act, do, say something. It can be challenging. Well, I'm not saying that everything was so easy. No, especially I
No,
feel as especially the first few years when everybody adapts to a new routine can be very challenging,
yeah.
and
I
it
think
can
there's
be
resentment in
anger.
those years too, and like animosity, and those are hard feelings for adults to navigate, and then like to navigate
Yes.
around children too. But like yeah, like you said, it's not perfect. Like it's not like I can sit here and say 4 years out that we have a good relationship and we raise our kids well together. But it's like, and even with that, I feel like you have to communicate even more with a co-parent than you do with a husband, because it's like there's a lot more
Yes.
moving pieces. And as the kids get
Yes.
older, they're busier in sports and schedules and all the things. So it's
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm talking to him more now than I did when I was married to him.
Yeah, and now I feel like he's more involved in everything that is going on with it. Like for us, it was with one child, but with
Yeah.
kids because they are responsible to monitor the schedule, be involved, participate, go to their concerts, wherever they do sports, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember like the early days of you of being a single mom? What was the most exciting thing you remember, like from just early days?
I feel like the most exciting thing was having like creating home for the three of us. if that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
there was just like this, there was a lot more stress during that time navigating this like huge change. But like just coming home at the end of the day and like it just feeling light, like that was like my favorite thing, just being like it's just us, like we, you know, like even just like doing dinners together or going to the park. And I don't know, it sounds like I just really enjoyed like creating that like
Hmm.
peaceful little bubble of ours.
Yeah, so you were happy to come home,
Yeah,
not. Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's so important because home is our home should have give us that safe feeling instead
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, I don't want to go home because XYZ, right? You know that your energy will be drained and you will feel exhausted and lonely. But when you create a space where you feel home, right? Probably you
Yeah,
have more responsibilities now,
yeah.
but at the same time, it's your place and you can enjoy it and feel really
Yeah.
safe
And
there.
they're your responsibilities. And so you, like, it's up to, like, I come home and it's like, this is my home. Like, I know what needs to be done. I know that I'm not relying
Yeah.
on someone else to, like, get those things done. So, like, there's peace in that too. Like, just basically,
Mhm.
it's like your own checklist and you can navigate that,
Yes.
like, how you will. And then it's good for the kids too. Like, they have their checklist now too to like learn responsibilities, like for them to
Mhm.
grow up and take care of a home one day. You know what I mean? Um,
Yes, yes.
so there's peace. And I
Yeah.
like people ask us all the time, like, because we're together a lot, like, oh, like you guys get along so well. Like, what would you ever get back together? I'm like, no, like this works for us because we can get along on the sidelines and we can get along like at functions and things like that. And like we
Mhm.
can consider
Mhm.
each other friends at this point. But I like come home to like my peaceful home, right? Because like that
Yes.
energy would not always stay that way, like if we were still under the same roof. So like
Mhm. Mhm.
under my roof is me and my children, and like we have peace with that.
I remember one of my least favorite part of being single again was taking out trash.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, oh man, that's
So I
pretty
taught my
much
son
the
to do
only.
that, and I don't do it.
I was like, oh yeah, now I have to do it myself.
And then like
But I think
remembering what day they go out to the curb.
yes, yeah. I live in a an apartment like in a condo, so it's downstairs. And but at the same, I was like, oh, that was probably the only thing that I had to do it myself and take care of my car. So like he used to take care of my car, like I didn't
I
touch it,
was
so
just
he
gonna
was
say,
responsible.
I was like, I don't like the car stuff either. I don't think I ever will. I consider myself a strong, independent woman, and then when it comes to my car, I'm like, I'd rather not.
Yeah, yeah. And my husband, he was auto mechanic. So like it was on
Yeah,
him and it was his responsibility and making sure that my car was safe and oil change was done and he washed my car. And I remember doing the oil change first time, bringing my car. No, I
yeah,
didn't do oil change myself, but bringing my car. And they asked me a question, what type of oil you need to put inside? So I don't know. You tell me what type of oil. So it was kind of those like two things that kind of relying on somebody else to do those just car thing because I don't know exactly what's wrong with the car, right? I'm not an
yeah.
auto mechanic, but when he was alive, I would call him and ask him like, "Oh, I hear this noise. Can you check?" And he would check for me. But now it just yeah, you go to the dealership and they do
Yeah, and
what.
you hope they don't freaking rip you off because you're a single woman,
Yes,
and you just like,
yes, yeah.
please make good news.
Yeah, but I think there are good mechanics around our area that you can trust to. So that's
Yeah, that's
like
good.
we have little communities, so they share the information, and people are reliable. They're not going to rip you off, and they will fix your car. They won't actually break your car, right? So you can
Yeah,
come back in two
that's
days.
good. That's very good.
Yeah, and we just start talking about the community itself. So I remember when we talked, you also said that you kind of friends faded away too when you guys separated and got divorced, and you felt like isolated. And over time, you created your own village, kind of your community.
Mhm.
How did all that look like, and what made you to begin building your community?
Yeah, so this ties back to into feeling alone in my marriage. I like I said, like I'm not from here. We live in his hometown, like where he was born and raised, and um, it's like his world. You know what I mean? And years and years ago, like I always kind of was asking for a little bit like this is like your world, like show it to me. Like I was like I want to like feel like this is home a little bit more, like because I knew that we were staying
Mm-hmm.
here like at least for the time being and like now forever whatever. But I like that was one of my like needs that I fully like
Mm-hmm.
communicated, and I've never felt like I really received that. And I would have a really hard time, like especially like as a new mom with like young babies. Like I feel like that wherever you are, even if you have family close, like it is an isolating time in itself. Um, so like there would be hard days through that too, and it was always like I was always greeted with kind of like what's wrong with you? I'm like, no, I'm telling you, like I'm craving like a sense of community that I don't have here.
Yeah.
Like I haven't found that here, and it really took kind of until like my son started kindergarten. So like he was 5 years
Mm-hmm.
old, and like then you start like meeting some moms, and then the kids get more involved in sports, so you're meeting more parents like on the sideline, and then you like that snowballs too. But even with that, like it is hard to make friends as an adult, and especially if you're
It-
not from here. And if there's people who've also grown up here, like they already have friends and family close, so they're not necessarily
yes.
like looking for friends. I like came in
Yes.
with
Yes.
nothing, so that was really hard. But like with that, I'll say that was another one of like my breaking points, being I like when I finally started like getting that community, I was like ecstatic. I was like, oh my God. And it didn't hit me like all at once, but like one day I was like, wow, like I just felt lighter in that like portion of my life. And then I like it took me back a little bit. I was like, this is what I wanted. Like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But those things like he started seeing as me being selfish. And
Oh,
I was like,
of
wow,
course.
like you can look at me right now and tell me that I'm selfish for things that I literally sat there and cried to you about in our marriage, like things
Mhm.
that like were important to me and things that I needed, and now I
Yeah.
have these things, and like I'm a bad person. So like
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
was so eye opening to me. Like I don't think I will ever forget that feeling, and like
Hmm.
that alone, something that I look back on, I'm like no regrets. Like I can't, you can't be with someone who doesn't support you and like
Support you.
support
Yes.
growth
Yes.
and support you like being fulfilled. And
Yes.
he wasn't. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But like I still need those things. And like, are you basically telling me to like choose joy and happiness and fulfillment like over or you? So I was like in this
Yes.
really weird space.
Hmm.
That was
Oh,
eye
wow.
opening. But like the community part of it, like I'm so grateful for. Like these are not my like friends and family from growing up, but like I've created this like a little village, and you know, some friendships are like everyone is like where they're at. Some is like just on the sidelines of sports. Some is like, let's go grab a glass of
Yes.
wine. Some you can sit there and be like your goofy, silly self with more so than others. But like everyone plays their like purpose in your life. You know what I mean? Like you get something
Yeah.
from
Yes.
like
Yes.
different
Yes.
groups. So that's been like really huge. And then it's like, you can like, it's good for your children too, because it becomes like their village and their
Hmm.
community when these are the people that you're around. And I found really good people.
That's awesome because I feel it's a lot of us are isolated. I'm a foreigner, right? I moved here. I don't have anybody. The whole
Mm-hmm.
country was new to me. So,
Yeah.
and being isolated in a relationship, and I felt isolation too. We just had our close friends that I was roommates with when I moved here, and that's it. So it didn't expand. And as you said, like there was no support to
Mm-hmm.
build a community that you feel comfortable in. And I know that for a lot of women as well, it's so tough. They say, "Oh, I'm alone. Nobody understands me," and that's why we have this podcast that you are not alone.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you took that step to build that community. You still have to, as I say, sometimes invest time into friendship. But
Yeah.
if you're willing to build that community, and as you said, it's not necessarily seeing each other every day, but have that support from another mom, or maybe it's not another mom, it's just another woman, right?
Yeah.
It feels that this is my space where I can go to. And it looks like you just were open and ready to have that community so you feel more like home, right? And
Mm-hmm.
having friends kind of finding new friends when you're older.
Yeah, I do
That's
feel like
very
that it was
good.
something that was really important to me. So I guess like just the way and listen, I wasn't out on the street corner every day with a sign being like, be my
Yeah,
friend. But it's like, if that's
yeah.
something that's like on your mind, like I think that you move through life like with that intention.
Hmm.
So, and then things happen naturally. But yeah, when it happens, it's like really good. And now I can like say I have like a phone book of people that if I needed something, like they would be there.
It looks like when you have that group of people and then you got divorced, and here you are sharing your story on social media, and I know for a lot of people it probably feels like very uncomfortable, but you are so
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable with your own story, with your perspective, the way you looked at your marriage. I remember the reel that I saw.
Yeah.
It was about how you found yourself or discovered yourself in marriage. How did it feel for you to be that vulnerable, and not only in front of social media audience, but also in front of your community?
Yeah, that's a good question. And like that's another thing that doesn't happen overnight. I've shared little like
Hmm.
bits and pieces of like being a single mom or divorced like throughout the last 4 years. But it also like there's things that you learn like just by doing self-reflection, like even 4 years later, that I'm like, oh wow, like I felt like that in the like maybe you don't even realize that you're feeling like that like in that time. Like you're like,
Hmm.
I don't know, like made to be like I said, and I put this in one of the things in the reel, like me finding that community like or like starting to do things for myself was seen as being selfish, and like I didn't really get that as much then, but
Hmm.
like the reflection and like it goes kind of hand in hand with the like questioning yourself, like did I do the right thing, because you're questioning that, but then you know you're having like your internal dialogue being like I did the right thing because I was put in these positions to feel this way, and like I don't ever want to feel that way again. So
Hmm.
I'm not saying that when I was divorced, like it was just like these light bulbs like going off every day.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this, but like the more that you like look back and reflect too, I think is like actually really healthy, because your next partner, like or like if that is in the cards for me, like
Hmm.
I know what I will put up with and what I absolutely will not put up with, and like I'm fine like with just me and the kids. Like I won't allow another like man into like my realm unless I know for sure that they're not going to make me feel that way.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
that's
don't
what
know if that's
I
good
was
or
just
bad,
about
but
to ask you about. Oh, are you ready to let another man into your life? And I think this is kind of one of the scariest moments for women who got divorced. Like, oh, what am I going to do now? Right.
yeah.
So, and I know for sure what I don't want anymore. And I think sometimes we can get stuck into knowing what we want because we've
Mhm.
never experienced that different type of relationship. And as you said, like, I won't allow another man into my space,
Our
safe
peaceful
space
bubble,
until,
no way.
yes, yeah, unless he brings more peace, right? So that's
Yes. Yeah,
not a
he has to
distraction,
add
but
to
more
it. You
peace.
can't be like taking bits of yours, you know, he can't only like you for like this
Yes,
and this, but like this is not good. Like they need to like love and appreciate you like as a whole, and like
yes,
same for them, and they need to bring value. And that could mean like different things to different people, but
yeah,
it
yeah,
has to
I
be like
totally
a
agree.
value add for sure. So I don't know if
Yes.
I'm ready for that right now. I'm like actually in this like kind of I don't know, it's kind of like this nice place to just rediscovery. I feel like
Hmm.
there's phases like you first get divorced and it like is kind of that like survival mode. Like there's excitement in it, but there's a lot of fear and a lot of stress, and like that it is like for me it was like a heavy time. Like it's so hard to know that you for sure like made the right decision, but like crap, how am I going to figure out all of the rest of
Hmm.
this? You know, there like everything goes into like time, finances, like family, like all of the like though that list could go on. But then you kind of like graduate from that into the next like little part. And this is all like a rebuilding phase. But it's like
Yeah.
once you do that work on like yourself, like I'm still
Hmm.
kind of in that zone. I'm still figuring out
I think it's the whole life process actually. So
I
every
think so
time we
too.
learn, every time we grow, and
Yeah. And then I'm sure
yeah.
there will be like the next pocket where like you're in that you still it's all going to be a rebuild. Like I do think forever, but like when your energy like wants to allow someone else in. I think
Yes,
you'll all
yes. When
feel
you
it.
have that capacity, yes, when you have that capacity, and it will be another learning curve to adapt to new relationship, right?
Yeah.
And see
The
how
capacity
those
is a
work out
huge
for you.
point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like if you're
Um,
letting someone else in, then your time is not all for your kids. So it's like you have to have that little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra energy and to make it like
yes.
intentional.
Yes, yeah. So we fill our cup first so we can give more. It should be
Yeah.
that energy exchange.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Hannah, so much for your beautiful story and for your vulnerability because it's important for a lot of women who are thinking about getting divorced or who just got divorced and feeling that shaky foundation beneath them. It all can be stable. And as you said, it actually takes time to find new things for yourself that makes you feel safe and stable in your life. Semi-stable, probably not stable because we're moving, something is always changing and we're
Yeah.
learning, but in a good way, not from a suffering way, but from kind of that love way, from that from energy of love, as I like to say. Would you please share your encouragement, your legacy message with the listeners, please?
Yeah, of course. I just want people to know that it's never too late to start over, even though that can be a very scary feeling. If you're feeling like there's something in your life that you need to start fresh from, like it could be divorce, it could be anything, like just whatever situation you're in, trust your gut. Like we said, your gut does not lie to
Yes.
you. And like our intuition is like the one thing that is like truly, truly ours. And I don't think that we'll be misled from it if we trust ourselves. Like do the scary, do that, like put yourself in
Yeah.
uncomfortable positions. I think that's where like the growth is, and there's such beauty in that. And there is 100% light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, totally agree on that one. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And remember, you have community behind you, and you can find more information and connect with Hannah by following the links below this episode. Thank you so much. And if life feels overwhelming with constant challenges and pressure, check out my 4 stress-free aid kit below as well. And please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another powerful story. And remember, no matter how tough things get, you are not alone.